Welcome back to the Data Obsessed Fat Man. Today, or really tonight, I'm just gonna go into the books I'm not reading. I'm not gonna go fully comprehensive on them. These are just a list of books dealing with food or weight loss, mainly just food really. That, technically I've read most of these, but it's been a while since I've read almost any of them. And some of these are new, so I'm considering these books that I haven't read, and just gonna go through detail because I'm going to need to read these again, take newer notes, and to just double down on what I do and don't know. So I'm gonna start off with my digital books here first. So first you see here, The Plant Paradox. You'll see that I have the ebook, the audio book, and then the PDF guide that goes with it. I like them. They help me to figure out how to reset my gut, how to properly prepare certain foods like beans, and just a lot of little neat things and a few good, recipes. In addition to that, I have Eat to Live and Eat to Live cookbook. I bought those, and that actually is the definition of a book that I never read. I mean, I've read excerpts, I've flipped through it, but I've never started from page 1 and read straight to the end before. So that's something I hope to do with it. I also have it here in physical form. Oh, so that's bad. I have it in both forms and I never finished it. I also have, Robert Muhammad's How to Eat to Live. And yeah, I'm not sure what to think about it. I flipped through it and read a few passages as well. Well, a few, chapters, excerpts from it. This is something I'm hoping to get through as well here. Pretty much my plan with all of these is to just relearn what I already know, double down on knowledge, and to learn some new things, and to compare it against, other things that I know or have learned in other places. Like I do a lot of things on my health journey and just in life period, and I like to understand the why behind it. I don't like to just do things without understanding why. And if you don't remember why you're doing something, it's pretty much the same as someone telling you to do something you're not knowing it. Like, I trust myself. I trust that, I did my due diligence and that I made a great decision, but I'm starting to forget why I made certain decisions in my life. So it's really nice to go back and understand the whys. Like this is a small thing, but I've said in a few videos how I consider that the carbs in vegetables are not worth counting. And I've heard a few other people say that. I came to that conclusion myself for reasons that I don't remember anymore. But I want to understand why I came to that conclusion in full. Like I know that the benefits that you get from the vegetables that you eat, greatly outweigh anything that, would come from the carbs, but there was something more to it than that. It was something else, and I don't remember why. So I'm hoping to remember that along with other facts here. A few more books here, this on the digital side, are Chronicle books for cooks, The Salt Fix, The Calorie Myth, Wheat Belly, and a primer for Wheat Belly, basically a 30-minute read to help you quickly understand it if you had to rush. And I've actually been reading The Salt Fix multiple times, just rereading chapters, and I'm learning a lot about salt. I've actually fallen in love with salt a lot over the past few years. I've used it my whole life, but there's just been something very different with my relationship with salt over the past, 3 to 5 years or so. Loving it a lot more. I'm able to use it much more effectively. I use so many different salts that I have preferences for which foods I use them in, and certain cooking methods that I use. So it's just like, I use Kalima for this, Celtic for that. I mainly use Celtic salt in drinks because it has a much more mellow taste. I use Kalima in things that I'm not going to directly cook, like in some of the no pasta salad where I'm not cooking the vegetables that I'm using in it and just tossing them in after cleaning. I would use the Kalima salt for that. Whereas with real salt, I just toss it onto everything. And with the Himalayan pink salt, that can go into everything as well, but it depends on the potency of it. Like we just got a really good batch of it a few weeks ago, and it is just completely dynamite. It's really wonderful. It blows up my taste buds. So I toss in my water and everything. If it's not close by, I use the real salt. But when it's pretty weak, I just ignore it. I treat it like a redheaded stepchild. It don't exist. But that's it for the ebooks. We're going to go into a few other books here. This is something that I've had since I believe I had elementary school and middle school, disgusting digestion. I learned a lot of weird, good history and other facts about digestion. I learned about typhoid Mary and a few other things. And while I'm much older now and I should be looking at different sources, it's nice to go back and look at my original inspiration for wanting to learn more about my body, because this is one of the first books that got me to think a lot more about my body and what's going on with it. I'm just getting these. I got this in a Goodfellow box. That program really helps out. Another book that I got from a Goodfellow box that helped out here is the stories Julian tells. Julian is the older boy here, and he is a bad boy. I mean, he's constantly getting into trouble. And you see he's eating a lemon pudding there that tastes like a night on the sea, according to his father and his mom. And pretty much his dad stays up all night making a pudding, and he sneaks out and eats it up with his little brother. So his dad wakes up in the middle of the night, and they use a lot of wordplay to make it seem like they're about to get the whooping of their lives, but instead they're making pudding. And I didn't understand when I was a kid, like, how do you make pudding from eggs? That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't work out right. But I know how to make pudding from scratch. I can even make lemon pudding from scratch. I mean, every little part. I mean, I don't use pre-made anything in it now. And I love it. And that book actually inspired me to actually figure out how to do so. I wanted to figure out that recipe. I ended up taking a lemon mousse recipe and applying it and looking at some lemon pudding recipes. So it's pretty fun. The Scott Pilgrim books. So I have more, but within one of these first 3 books, it's a recipe for a vegan shepherd's pie. I made it once before in my first apartment. Got my first apartment back in like 2010, 2011. No, I got it in 2010, but I made this meal like 2011 or 12 or so. But it was one of the first meals where I just felt completely happy because I did everything on my own from scratch with it. So I want to find that recipe and try it out again. You want to play around with it and see if there's a way to evolve upon it. That would be a lot of fun. It's like here we have the I Hate to Cook book. So I got that when I was in middle school, but my mom was working as a secretary at elementary school. So I'll get out of class, walk back to the elementary school, just sit there and play around and wait for her to actually get out and leave work. So the school was just giving away a bunch of books one day, and this was one of them. So yeah, I've got stuff that's been here for a very, very long time. Something that I haven't gone through at all is don't eat this if you're on that, or if you're taking that. So this I am probably not going to read cover to cover no matter what, but I am interested in the core philosophy of hero. There should at least be a few charts here saying what not to mix, and that's what I'm looking for. Oishimbo. Get to learn a lot about Japanese cuisine, what to do, how to prepare certain dishes, what's the best way to do so. So there's a couple of things here I wanted to look at and try out, so I'm going to be so bad to go through this again. This is similar to the book I got from the school. So this is sense experiments you can eat. This is probably going to be for finding something to do with Aiden. That'll be a bit fun for her while giving her something else to do. Let's get back into the other books. This is new. I bought this on Amazon recently, and I want to get into it. The Vegan Diet, also known as the Paleo Plus Vegan Diet. So it's interesting how they combine them there. It's vegan. You see what they're, what they attempted to do there. This is just a cookbook, but it's not just any cookbook. It's Afro vegan, and I played around with just a handful of the sides and seasonings at the beginning of this already, and it's already been pretty good. I mean, this has you doing things like, grinding down your own seasoning, spice. So it's pretty good to see how that works out. It actually helped out a bit with the biltong because I was not prepared to actually to get the coriander, cooked in a skeleton and grind it up. This book, something I bought because it looked great, but I didn't really think of using it for myself. It's the Complete Keto Cookbook. It's a nice hardcover. It has plenty of ideas, things to work with, but it's just a cookbook. That is almost definitely not being read from cover to cover. I am going to skirt around and see what's going to happen. I'll remove this because I have the bookmark in here. It's salt, fat, acid, heat. This book, I've only gone through the first chapter and a few parts of some of the other ones, and it's taught me so much already. There is so much to learn about cooking. See, I know how to cook, but sometimes I could probably be considered, if I'm doing great or like I'm a champion or something, whatever you would call it. But no, I want to actually become great at cooking. That's why I have all these books. I have 2 here that are left. And these are the ones that I'm most interested in because I want to do new things. First one is The Science of Spice. Oh yes. I want to know which spices to use, when, and why. The last one is The Science of Cooking. One of the companion books to the book that I just showed you for this one. This is going to be very interesting. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, those are just some books that I'm not reading. Or rather, I am going to get back into again, but right now I haven't read. Thank you all for your patience. But you have a great day, everyone. But sure, have a great day. Bye-bye.